Um, but here's the thing. Sarah and I have been friends for 12 years and we work together and we talk every day and we have this personal relationship where we kind of talk every day about all kinds of things, but rarely do we talk about to each other like in public. And it's always sort of funny in a way, like we're going to have a conversation, but I already know the story. I lived it with you, but my idea about offering this is, I think there's first of all an incredible piece of courage that you did it. Uh, it it was an incredible journey for you every minute of every day practically, and then it's just even how you got to doing it. So maybe you could just say a little bit about, well, how did you arrive to doing something like this? Like, can you just say a little bit about like
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Well, I think for, I mean, I don't know if any of you know how old I am, but you do, you will now. Um, I just turned 45. And I think for the last, since I turned 40, I mean, obviously lots of different body hormonal, different kinds of changes. And I've always been athletic and I've always exercised. I've always tried to eat really well. And then, the body hormones, everything starts to change. And I just noticed over the last few years that I just haven't felt good. Like, and it's been a real emotional thing because I've always kind of felt good. I have sort of a sturdy constitution. I don't get sick. I think since 2020, since the beginning of COVID, and it's only because I'm marking it, I've been sick maybe 2 times. So it had been this prolonged experience of not feeling good and kind of confused about what I need or what my body is now. And I feel like such an embodied person, I think, because of my line of work and working with people and doing the breath work with people, that I have been this person who's really valued being embodied. And then to have such a long, extended period of time not feeling good just on the daily, it just felt like I was in a kind of a crisis. Like I wasn't sick. I had all these, I saw a nutritionist, I saw the chiropractor, I saw all these things. I'm doing stuff all the time, but just never really feeling good. I've always been a good sleeper. My sleep was disrupted. It just didn't feel good. And I know the part of me that is really extreme. And I think part of, oh, am I recording? Oh, yes. Okay, good. I think part of
Hey,
wanting to,
Sarah,
yeah,
let's back up. Let's do the elephant in the room first. I feel a little bit on
yeah,
top of it, and then I won't interrupt. But body image, your weight, you put on quite a bit of weight after you were
yeah.
40. Like talk a bit about that because I think, come on, that's in the center of this
Yeah,
too.
I think, well, when I met you 12 years ago, just a little
Yeah.
over, and that was kind of the beginning of my body changes. I think, again, like I was a young person, I lived in LA, like it was all it, and I also was a teenager in the 90s. Like the teenager in the 90s was my idols were Kate Moss. And like I'm short, I'm round, and having this kind of body type with Kate Moss as the ideal was so hard, like as a self-worth kind of thing. It's like my body was just never going to look like that, no matter how much weight I lost or how fit I was. I just was never going to be the ideal. So I think a lot of like I've really struggled with body image. Like it's been a real like most of my adult life, I've just absolutely hated my body. And even when I was a child, I always had thick legs. Like, I went to Catholic school, all girls. We wore skirts to school, and everybody always looked cute and like cheerleaders, like little cheerleaders. And I was always just kind of thick. And so I just never really fell into the category of like really loving how I looked. So,
Well, also, when we met, You had a $40,000 a month dog walking business. Your partner was bipolar. It went south in a major way. You went up to Mendocino County to trim weed. And I didn't know this when we met, but you were pretty depressed, out of sorts, smoking a lot of weed. You were also a pretty hard partier, and you drank quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was living that sort of wild kind of LA life. Also, my dad was dying, and that
Mm.
was like a huge disruption. He had been diagnosed with brain cancer. He had a huge glioblastoma. And so my mom, I had like left my whole life in LA. My mom needed help taking care of my dad. My business had gone south. I just stopped giving a shit about anything. It was just like, well, fuck it. Like everything that I had worked for up until that point was in the tubes. And it really, like, and when I say fuck it, I like, will just, I'm way off. Like all of a sudden I'm living in my car in Mendocino, smoking weed with my buddies, eating pizza every day, and just not caring at all. And in a way, like a super hilarious, weird, wild time of my life. That's how I met Elijah, the guy that I was kind of living with at the time, not romantically. He was just a friend who like let us crash in his couch when we were in town, not living in our cars. He was doing a breathwork training with Elijah in Miami at the time. And so I just kind of was roaming around and yeah, and that's how I met Elijah. So
Why I bring it up is that you told me, well, first I've known you 12 years, but you told me this during the 40 days, like
yeah,
you had already put on quite a bit of weight when you met me because you were down and in the dumps and you were sort of not taking care of yourself.
not at
But then
all like
fast forward to 40, you put on more weight and you're not feeling well and your hormones are shifting and all that's going on.
yeah, so I think it was a slow burn over the last 10, 12 years of just gaining weight, not giving a shit, trying to like in and out of like, oh, I actually have to take care of myself. And again, like I've always loved to exercise. So exercising was never something that kind of I got off of. I was always walking or going to the gym or whatever. And and yet no matter what I did on really being healthy or really off, like I was just always gaining weight. And I've just gotten to this point over the last few years where it was constant. It was like every time I got on the scale, I was another 5 pounds heavier. And it was like, I just don't know what's happening. And then, of course, like the body image and the like, well, I guess I'm fucked up. And I ate vegetarian for a long time. I didn't eat meat for years. I didn't drink alcohol for years. None of that changed any of my body composition. And so it all,
And
I
the
think,
breath work also,
what do you mean?
the breath work didn't help you
Oh, yeah.
to metabolize differently.
No, and I just got to this crisis point, I think a little bit after our retreat in February, where it's just like I feel bad all the time. All the time. I wake up, I feel heavy, I feel ugh, like I don't feel good. And I also know this part of myself that's really extreme. Like definitely in my 20s, like I've done like every diet. Like I've done the South Beach, I've done the paleo, I've done the master cleanse, I've done the Living Beauty diet. I did the Natalia Rose vegan raw foods thing for a while. Like I've been one of those people that just like ate every vitamin and did everything. And and then I've just over the last 15, 20 years even, I guess, kind of got away from that. And I just felt like I have to do something really, really extreme, but it comes out of my spirituality and my fortitude and my will to make a choice around something and then just go for it. And I think we had talked about Elijah was saying that of an acquaintance of his had done like a 10-day water fast. And I was like, I can do that. I can do 10 days of anything. I mean, even within the last year, I've done 3 or 4 day water fasts and it's great. Like I like that. It just feels really good to do. It's like, oh, I can do anything I want. I live in Kentucky. People are not like me here. And even my friends and people, I've talked to people about juice cleanses and people are like, oh, I could never. I'm like, yes, you could. You just make a choice. You just do whatever you want. And I think I know that part of myself that's like, I can be wildly extreme. It's like I live in a booze culture. It's Kentucky, it's bourbon country. Everything to do here social is built around booze. And I just made a choice one day like I'm not going to drink anymore. And it was like, "What do you mean?" And then 5 years went by. So I just know the part of me that's really extreme, but I also just to note, like if we post this somewhere and people do watch it, like I don't put myself, I think people would put me in the camp of like being a spiritual woo woo kind of fitness wellness in that kind of category where people are life hacking and, oh, you do breath work and you help people and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not coming at it from that sort of like internet trend point of view. I'm just coming at it from me being who I am. And I think that when we were talking about doing, or when Elijah was talking to me about his friend doing a water fast, I just kind of went down the rabbit hole of like fasting. And then I saw that somebody had done 40 days. And I love I love a 40-day thing. It feels very, I've done lots of things for 40 days in the past and spiritually type of things. And it just felt like, oh. And so I just went down this rabbit hole of like looking at people and what they do and could they do it and how many people started it and then quit a weekend. And there actually wasn't that much online of people talking about getting to doing a 40-day water fast or what they did or why they did it or how they did it. I mean, it was just like, yeah, I did it. And then I got on a Reddit thread and they were like, and yeah, when I ate again, it was like this. It just there wasn't that much information on it. And then I just felt like I'm going to do it. I just had this feeling. And then there was another feeling inside of me that was like, well, I better prepare myself. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that either. What does prepare myself mean? Like, means like eat a salad for the next week? Like, I don't know what that means. So I was like, I'm starting tomorrow. I'm just doing it. And then I just did it. And in fact, I felt like, just as an overview, the not eating for 40 days is really easy because I know what the rules are. Don't eat. Like there's only one thing for me to do during the day is not eat. I drank water with electrolytes and I had trace minerals. And one little hack that I used through the whole thing was I if you take a pinch of salt, if you feel really intense hunger pains and you take a pinch of salt and put it under your tongue, it goes away immediately. Immediately a hunger pain goes away. That blew my mind.
Can you say, well, I'm about like uh what some of this was like? I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot, probably a lots to say, but also I'm wondering what your biggest discoveries were because now you've set up a thing and then you did it, but it certainly, I mean, I'm not going to call you out. You can say whatever you want, but I don't think it was what you expected to be. And of
No.
course, you were feeling really horrible looking at, I mean, really great at some points, like really, really great at some points, and
Yeah.
really, really, really fucking horrible at other points. So,
Yes.
yeah, do
Well,
tell.
I would say, just to give a little general overview, the first 5 to 7 days, I had it in my head that I was like, I'm doing this. And I knew that I was going to feel bad. So I had headaches. I didn't plan much for that week. I had a lot of my head hurt. I was really tired. My stomach was upset. And just the like nauseous, just kind of getting through the first like purge, just a lot of like stuff coming out of my body that did not feel good. Felt a little toxic, pretty. I had like weird, like filmy stuff in my mouth. Just
You didn't
gross.
lose any weight either.
No, I lost about like 1 pound in the first week. And then after that first week, I really felt great for the majority of it. I felt normal. I was doing my normal life. Like just I had energy. I was sleeping really well. All the inflammation kind of started to go down in my body. My back stopped hurting. I know some of you know about I had this arm problem and it just kind of lifted, went away. And I was like, oh, I just couldn't believe that I felt as normal and as clear as I did in my head. And then around 4 p.m. every day, I would get really tired and I'd have to kind of lay down. And then about 6 o'clock, I would like, okay. And then I would be fine again. And that went on for weeks that I felt really good. And then the last
You also
week,
had a lot of extra time. No shopping, no
tons of
cooking,
time,
no cleaning, no eating,
no
no
eating.
chewing.
Yeah, nothing. It was like I had a lot of time. I got a lot of my life organized in a way I've maybe never been organized. That was one kind of weird effect of not of having the extra time. And but the last week I felt like garbage for the majority of the last week. And I would say starting with like there was a Saturday, I had a one Saturday and then the week to the next Saturday, which was my last day. I was super nauseous, retching, just down, like very super emotional, upset in every direction, just up in the middle of the night, wasn't sleeping. Um, and I learned some things about the body that there's this in the esophagus, there's like a valve that closes your esophagus off to your stomach. And when you're not eating and you're not using that part of the body gets really weak. And so it creates a pathway where like anything that's in your stomach can like come back up, which was part of there wasn't anything in my stomach, but it was like everything felt like it was coming this way that last week. It was pretty bad. Um and I felt terrible. But it was also like, okay, I made it to 35 days. Like, I could stop, I could eat now. And, but then it was like, I can't, like, it didn't really matter how terrible I felt. I was like, I'm going to do it. I said 40 days, I'm going to get to 40 days.
What,
Um, but
what
to,
about you? You did some breath work. You got like there was the
yeah,
colonic. There's lots of sort of spiritual transformation, also your relationship with your body. And of course, everyone probably wants to know, like, did you lose any weight and how, if so, how much?
yeah. So, well, there's a few things. In the end, the last time that I weighed before, when I was still fasting, I lost 40 pounds. And that was from January 30th when I had a doctor's appointment on January 30th. So I knew how much I weighed at the start of it. And then at the end, I had lost a little more than 40 pounds. And that part of it was weird because I felt really dissociated almost from my body because I couldn't feel it. I mean, I could kind of see it, but I couldn't really feel like 40 pounds is a lot. I lifted a 40-pound weight at the gym yesterday. And it was like, oh my God, like that's a lot. It's a lot to carry around that I'm not carrying around anymore. And I haven't weighed myself in the last week and a half that I've been eating. Um, and so I know that like I've probably put on some weight since eating again. That's a whole other thing that's happening. But just to talk a little bit about my like the more the things that are really important to me come doing it that I didn't expect. And one is like I think my biggest revelation just for myself and maybe yeah, just for myself is that I think I've spent my entire adult life in instant gratification. And I mean, since I really feel this like from my entire life. Like, I think a passionate person. I'm intoxicated. I love to be with people, and I love to eat. And I just also felt like I've had this feeling that I've carried with me my whole life. That's about being hungry for sex, for love, for food, for connection, for everything. I've just been hungry. And I think it's emotional because I didn't know how quick the mechanism inside myself is to feed myself, no matter what. And even if it's good or bad, it doesn't really matter. I just like instantly go for it. And I never slow down to say, like, what do I really want here? Or take the time to like figure out what I might need. And I've used food, especially to like eat when I'm happy, when I celebrate, eat when I'm sad, or, and that's like at the top of the list of like feeling hungry and can't get satisfied. And then it just goes on from there. So I feel like a huge revelation was around just instant gratification. And of course, life over my lifetime, like I didn't even have a cell phone in college. And now everybody's so attached to their phone and this constant instant gratification. There's this dopamine hit everywhere. And I'm inclined, like I'm already inclined to be an addict around anything and not know how to make a sound choice for myself. And so doing this is like, I feel like I just downshifted my whole life because I couldn't exercise. I wasn't eating. I really tried to stay off my phone as much as possible. The only thing I would let myself do is look at recipe videos once a day. Just look at beautiful food and meals people were making themselves. I don't know why I liked doing that, but I, I
I would
just,
get these hilarious phone calls like, one of the first things I'm gonna make, like after it beats, and then it's like, it was like you're in this food porn fantasy.
yes, people
I
make
heard-
such beautiful meals online. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Can I just interject
yeah,
something? I think that I know about you. Part of what makes our partnership work is that you're very passionate person. You're 100% yes, but mixed in with your own karma, that yes was yes to a lot of things that just became your habitual instant gratification without asking yourself, is this yes actually going to serve me? I think the best part of you is where this worst thing came from. That
yeah,
that part of you that like you are all in all the time, and if it's a positive thing, like it's a great friendship, it's connection, it's joy, it's inspiration, it's God, it's your spirituality, and it can even be food and drink. I mean, we've had some really, really fun times. We went out to dinner with Wes in Louisville. It was so much fun. But because of there's another part, like I think the instant gratification part, which you got emotional about, is the most important part because you had some desire to take care of yourself, but it was just in a habit. And then you lost the
yeah.
habit, couldn't chew for 40 days, not
Yeah.
once.
And I think it just is not that this is what this is about, but even coming out of it, like it's a really like this last week and a half is way harder than the 40 days. Because I really thought in my delusional mind that I'm like, I'm just gonna eat a little something. It's gonna be my 40 day 41. I'm just gonna eat a little something. And it took like 3 days before I could eat something where I didn't feel like absolutely throwing up. And now it's like I'm eating stuff. Like I noticed this morning, I have this rash on my chest and on my back, and I have no idea what it's from because I've been eating super clean. I did eat some eggs, and I'm like, is there an egg making me have a rash? So I don't know. It's this very complicated. Like afterwards. I think my other big revelation was the Saturday before the Saturday that I ended it. I just had made a decision for myself that I was gonna rest. I was just gonna take the whole day and just lay around and like read my book and maybe watch a show and take naps and do a little crafts, but just stay in my room and really rest all day.
Hmm.
And what I realized at the end of it was I don't ever do that. I don't rest. I don't prioritize resting. I prioritize getting satisfied. And that means being up, don't miss out, do everything. And I do, and I felt so good and so different to just allow myself to really rest. And I don't quite know what that means going forward. Like, I don't know that I want to like take a whole day to lay around in bed. I don't know if that's it, but maybe. I mean, I feel like I have to cultivate rest. And especially at my age and I want to be healthy and live a long time and I just I think that was a huge thing for me. And just to answer your other question, like I was doing stuff every week. I got a lot of body work. I saw my friend who's an occupational therapist, and she was doing soft wave therapy on my arm. I I did go get a colonic in the middle of it, and that was insane. Like I've had colonics in the past. If anyone doesn't know what colonics are, it's colon hydrotherapy, where basically they put a tube in your bum and they run warm water through your colon, Jim. And it basically helps get all the extra
Before we leave, I wanted to thank
stuff
Marcus
that
again
might
for
be.
your thought-provoking opener. If you want to send that to Jim.
Here we go. Um, Jim's Zoom call. Um, but yeah, I just so I was
That
there.
day was interesting because you, first of all, for those people that are in our program, that 1 hour breath track I made for everybody was the track I made for you. You did the breath work before you went to the colon
Right.
hydrotherapy. Breathe for an hour and shit for another hour.
It was an hour and a half, but yes. Yeah, I breathed in the morning for an hour and I was like, whoa, I feel weird and good. And then I went to the colonic and I went to this woman that I got the colonic from is a cuckoo person and she's amazing. And she had one of these like massager things and was like rubbing it all of my belly and down my legs and up and down my arms. And at one point I got tetany while I was laying there. And I've had tetany in the breath before, but never in life. And then I'm laying there and I haven't had tetany for years, for years. And I'm laying there and all of a sudden this whole top part of my body, I'm like, Martha. And I was so excited. Martha was the woman's name. I was so excited, but I was so nauseous. And she's like massaging me. And you can see on the little machine like all the stuff that's coming out and there's these huge air bubbles and like weird gross poop stuff and I was like this is incredible, but it was so intense and I mean I didn't love the way I felt, but I knew that some stuff, not just like actual physical matter, was releasing from my body. It was just a lot. And that was crazy. And then a few days later, I went and met this acupuncturist who did an abdominal massage. This woman is out of this world anyway, but she put some needles in my belly, and I was just like doing every weird thing I could think of to do while not eating.
It's interesting that there was all this weird stuff coming out of your intestines, even after what, a few weeks of not having eaten?
Three
That's
weeks.
that's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I've known that for a long time about getting colonics that, stuff can like build up in the walls, especially if you've eaten sugar or processed food, which it's like this stuff builds up. So I knew there was going to be some stuff that came out, but not like that. It was gross, but also awesome. I feel like
Anybody want to ask anything?
Jim, what'd you say? Maybe you already talked about this.
How
Oh,
much water
um,
did you drink? Oh, sorry.
what'd you say, Franz?
How much water did you drink during the day?
Yeah,
Mm.
well, the last few days, just working backwards, the last few days, I like couldn't do anything. I really couldn't keep anything down. Like even just drinking a little bit was not awesome. Or yeah, but most days like this big thing, I would drink like four or five.
Hmm.
And it was a lot of electrolytes. I put electrolytes on almost every one of those. Um, and now I have to like take a break from the electrolytes. It's just
It's kind of
gross.
funny because it was during our retreat. I was taking electrolytes and I we had a conversation. I gifted you and sent a bunch of electrolytes to your house
Yeah.
from Amazon after the retreat. So you had electrolytes when you
Yeah.
started your fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Jim, to answer your question, um, in the
Actually,
first,
let me ask it a different
yeah,
way
yeah, yeah.
because it's not just about defecating. Um, wh- and I'm sorry for being late. And I'm sorry if you went over this, but during this
No.
time, did you have, like, how was your sleep? Did you have any intense dreams? Did you have any inspirations? Did you have any intense fear? And then physically, were you going to the bathroom? Were you
Yeah,
sweating? Were you cold? Stuff like that.
yeah. Well, just to kind of go in order, I was scared a lot, especially in the first week or two, because I was like, I don't like who am I going to be at day 20? Like, am I going to be alive? Am I going to be dying? And I won't even know. And no one around me will tell me anything. Like, am I going to be half dead and no one will know that I'm actually dying because I haven't eaten? Like, it was
She was
complete,
very irrational.
super
Like,
irrational.
and just because, first of all, the talks about food, but also like that, yeah, these fantasies that you were having about all kinds of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was scared a lot. It was weird. Hi, Barb. Um, yeah, it was weird what I was scared about, totally irrational. And just for any women out there listening, I did get my period during it, which I was surprised actually that I had like a regular period. And but when I like in the sort of emotional part of that, I of my period, I was really irrational. Like really sad, really fearful, really emotional. Like I was like, I should not leave the house today because I'm insane. I felt really, it was very extreme. Um, my sleep was mostly disrupted. I didn't feel bad. Like I didn't feel like I was tired or didn't like most of it. One thing you did miss is that for the majority of it, I felt amazing. Like the first week sucked, the last week kind of sucked, but everything in between I felt were great. But my sleep was disrupted through most of it. Like I didn't sleep through the night, but maybe one or two times. And I realized that, my body doesn't have anything to do. It's like the normal things that it takes care of in the sleep. It just didn't, I didn't have, it wasn't, there was nothing to do. So I was up every night around 2, 3 a.m. and I was awake for hours. And then I would go back down, I'd sleep a few hours, and then I'd get up and I'd feel great. And the last, the last bit about the pooping bit, for the first 3 weeks, it was very intense because well the first like week or two it's like getting kind of all the stuff less out of the body. It wasn't really regular, it wasn't happening every day, but then around week 3, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, not much, and not much in the last half of it at all. Like nothing in the last after the colonic, nothing. No bowel movement whatsoever. But prior to that, the few weeks in between the week 2 and the last week, um, I would have these extreme waves of nausea, extreme. And it was like came on in an instant and it didn't matter where I was or what I was doing. I would be like, uh-oh. And I could feel it coming on and my stomach would kind of cramp and then I would go a little bit. It wasn't much of
A lot
anything.
of these plots, these stages, first of all, I don't remember you saying it was amazing, except for the that's not how I remember, but
No.
okay. I mean you could say, but that
What, the
you would
colonic?
be an amping up of of intensity, of nausea, of upset, of irrationality, of emotionality, of confronting some issue like the need for instant gratification was a huge one. And then all of a sudden there would be a breakthrough. She'd lose some pounds. And
Yeah.
to me, it was like she was shedding self. The reason why I wanted to do this was that this was profound to be a part of because I was witnessing the transformation of a human being. 40 days to, she's been carrying those 40 pounds. I said to her, if you had three babies, and you carried them around 24/7. That's what having an extra 40 pounds is like. Carrying that on your body and not knowing how that was taking control of your life. So watching just knowing a person 12 years and then watching in just 40 days the shedding of all these lifetimes of stuff, I don't think any of it was easy for her. And there was always this ramping up of how difficult it was, and then she would hit a peak about something, have a little bit of a realization, and then there would be a dropping away, and then she'd feel pretty good, and then it would go up again, and then right at the end she just was sick the last 4 days, like in bed, couldn't get out, retching most of the time, couldn't
Horrible.
drink any water, nothing. It was just, and it felt to me like she was dying, like the body was saying, this is it, we're never going to eat again, we're just going to eat ourselves, we're just dying. And so
Yeah. I
just
mean,
I'm
I
not
think
I'm
when
not trying to tell your story. I just want to frame how profound it is to do something like that in just 40 days.
yeah, I mean, when I say I felt great, I would say physically I could feel a change in the positive. Like I could feel the inflammation not being so on top of me. And there was, and I think you all know this about me, that I am looking for meaning in everything. So that was a huge part of it. And I felt really clear and also completely insane all at the same time. And so I do think that's right. I think there would be like this kind of ramping up. And I was weighing myself almost every day. And then I was like, I have to stop. Like it's too weird. It's too much of a mind fuck. And also it's like, this isn't about the weight I need to lose or want to lose, because I can get real fucked up in my head about like, well, no one will love me until I weigh 135 pounds. Like like what the stories that are so conditioned in my mind. And then it's like all I was doing was calculating how many pounds I needed to lose to get to that lovable state. I'm like, that is the one huge thing that has got to leave me, that has got to purge from this. So I stopped getting on the scale daily. But then I was like, I also at a certain point couldn't really figure out like what was going on. So I would get on the scale. I'm like, huh, that was 4 more pounds. Where did that go in the last 3 days? And yeah, so yeah, there was an up and down.
It
And
was interesting you didn't tell anybody, and therefore I didn't tell anybody, but your mother and your sister didn't know. I mean, your nieces were like, your birthday happened during it and you weren't eating cake and nobody knew, but like you were not eating in front of your family for
yeah,
weeks before you told them what you were doing.
I was
yeah.
going to ask whether people were worried, but it sounds like they didn't know.
Well, the people that I did tell, I have found out since that they were all talking about me behind my back and wondering if I was being crazy. And um it doesn't, I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. They all sort of know me to be a little bit insane, and I think they all were sort of commiserating about like, has she really gone off the deep end? And I just don't care. But I think, I mean, my mom did say to me before I kind of revealed what I was doing, I just said I'm doing a detox. And my mom did say at one point, you're really messing up my social life. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, I don't, you won't go out to eat with me. I was like, well, mom, I can go with you. I just am not going to eat. She's like, well, no, thanks. It's like, okay. And then on my birthday, my middle niece, she's 10 and she has all the questions. She's just one of those kids that has 1,000 questions about a million things. And so
Right.
She's a Libra. They came
Yeah.
over
So many questions.
to bring me presents. And then she was like, we've got to get it straight. So what are you eating? When are you eating? Why are you doing this? And she's got a million questions for me. And I just keep kind of evading her. And finally my sister was like, you have to tell her. You just have to tell her. Just tell her the truth. Like, give it to her straight. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll tell you everything, but you can't freak out. I'm like, you can ask as many questions as you want. Just like, don't be freaking out. Okay. So then I tell them, and my sister's fiance was there, and his eyeballs were like,
But
he was like,
your sister knew though.
not really.
Oh, she didn't really know
She
either.
was sitting there like,
Oh,
mostly
no.
because I don't think, well, I tell my nieces all kinds of crazy stuff. So she's used to me being
Your
myself.
sister is not, she's a little incurious in ways.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so I ended, I told them on my birthday, but that was like 3 weeks in. Yeah.
Sarah, in looking back at this experience that you just went through and how you did it, do you have any regrets? Like, is there like, oh, I wish I had done that, or if I ever do this again, I'll do this differently?
I don't think so.
How was it doing it in winter? Would you do that differently?
No, this
Think
was
was it
such a great
harder
time.
here?
This was such a great time of the year to do it because nobody's really doing anything. Like it was winter snowstorm or downpouring rain for the most part of this. So there's just not
I
that
was
much.
really surprised up until the last week how busy you were. I mean, in our group had several meetings. We did breath work, like,
Oh,
but
I
you were
led
out.
sessions too. I had like handful of
But
sessions
I
that
don't
I
Yeah,
need to
led
hear.
with people.
yeah.
I got a question, Sarah. I gotta go in like 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
Okay. How many days out of the fast are you?
Um,
It's the first thing you ate.
11. No,
11.
16.
Okay. You just mentioned that like kind of
11.
deep ever present hunger, that you've noticed throughout your life. And I mean, that gets really confronted in a fast. You mentioned at least kind of shed a bit of light on the challenges that, not being in the fast because the rules of engagement aren't maybe so clear. At least you got to be very clear with yourself about what they are.
Yeah.
What are you noticing? Like, how are you in relation to this hunger post fast? And I'm just asking from like, I've completed a couple of 5-day water fasts. So like, I'm very intrigued by the 40-day, but I know like my hunger comes back like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had the
So
same experience
that,
with fasts. I
yeah,
went from 24 hours from fasting to a pizza, Yeah,
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 more than once.
it's really, to me, these last 11 days are 1,000 times more hard than
hmm
the 40 days prior. And it's where I've struggled the most is how much, because I'll eat something and I'm like, ooh, that's really nice. And I still feel kind of hungry. And then I'll eat more because I'm like, and I think I'm being conscious about it, but I'll eat more. And then I'm like, I've stuffed myself. And so it's a real head scratcher for me right now because
Real retooling of your relationship to what's the right food and how much you should have and when,
yes,
because
and
you're
I
not doing
feel
it
Able
in,
to
yeah.
then follow through on what you know about that.
Well, and I feel this very intense feeling to overdo it. Like I want to
yeah,
stuff my face. Like that is what I want to do. I want to just eat until I can't breathe. Like there is an addict in here that wants
yeah,
to just stuff my mouth full because it feels like, well, I earned it. And that's where I'm really struggling right now. Like it is very intense to do. And I've been listening over the course of these 40 days, have listened to 1,000 podcasts about what I should be eating, how to time things, everything, like
yeah,
really trying to retool. And so I've been trying to eat breakfast, which is really hard for me. I never eat breakfast. I usually don't eat until afternoon. And that's just not good for my age, for my body type, like for changing the composition of my life. And
Mhm.
so even that, like I force myself to eat in the morning so that I'm not stuffing my face come the afternoon, evening. And
Mhm.
it's really intense to eat at all.
Well, okay.
I don't want to, Bessie, I want you to hear before you go, but I don't want to make this about you and me. But since I was there, I think there's something important here because when we had the conversation, I feel like we've been talking for 12 years. We can talk to each other about anything, but we had conversations that I feel in some ways were uncomfortable for both of us to have about what was really going on with you. Even you telling me how much weight you had gained and various things. And I feel like what our conversation was about was really about the person that you want to be as an autonomous adult spiritual that I know you to be. Like I know people, we all, but like I know you better than any other person. And in some ways, the person that put all that weight on belongs to a lot of memories that have not sorted themselves out. You haven't taken responsibility for yourself. And those uncomfortable conversations are really one of the best parts of you as a person, that you could have a conversation about whatever the darkest, most difficult thing about your relationship with yourself is. And taking on that 40 days was, to me, taking on that and saying, and now when you're coming out of it, and you're eating, every single act, every time you eat, you have to have a relationship and a conversation with yourself that's in the light
Yeah.
and in relationship to what's really best for this temple of the body. And I feel like that's the power of your struggle right now is ownership of the vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to run, so I just want to say thanks. Also, no coincidence that you did this after being initiated into your spiritual lineage here. So, wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Katie's gonna stay on the call. I do have to
her
go right
teacher
now,
was
but
on something of a like something or other too. I found out.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Since
all,
this is mostly all of us except for in the program and Krista, but I feel like maybe it doesn't necessarily have to go into the general feed, but if like I feel like this is a almost a little more of a private conversation than maybe I just feel like if there's anything else to speak about that's in the deeper level, like this would be a good time to have that, because that is really why I wanted to put this out into the
Yeah,
light.
so I did have another question, and maybe you led off with this, I don't know, but can you talk about the spirituality of this for you, if if anything? I,
Yeah. I mean, I think,
obviously, I know you. Yeah.
yeah, I think, you know, the spirituality of it for me, and I have not said this, I've said other things so far, but, you know, I, I'm not like, I don't think of myself as like a woo woo transcendent type of spiritual person. I can talk about energy and I might have a language that people might project onto it, that like I'm some like weird spirituality person, but it really was kind of both spiritual and practical. Like it was as much about the physical, like this earthy dimension, as it was about reorganizing my inner spirituality or what's really important to me. So I feel like the spirituality of it for me is about my embodiment in the body on earth. Like that's really what it was mostly about, and like who I am in this lifetime, in this karmic imprint. And I, and less about like it being some kind of intense spiritual journey, even though how we're talking about it sounds like of an intense spiritual journey, even though I guess as an experience, it felt more like a physical expression of the spirituality.
I
Does
find
that
that
make
funny
sense?
that you say that. Yeah, I mean that on my side, that was not how I experienced you experiencing it. Yes, it was practical, but it was about the meaning of your life living in the body. And I think also you've been on a journey with me helping other people, but you haven't been on retreat for yourself like that ever. 40 days. How could you not say it was not
I
deeply
mean, I think
spiritual
that
for
is what
you?
I'm saying. Like, it is spiritual for me, but it comes through the practical, it comes through the physical.
Through the yes, I think that's what retreats and things are, is that when you fast or you go in a meditation retreat or whatever, you're giving up, you're renouncing, and in that
Yeah.
renunciation you come to the confrontation of how you what your how you live in preferences.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess from the outside, it is definitely a spiritual sojourn. And I guess for me as an experience, my whole life feels like that. So this felt like more of a physical spirituality rather than, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Josh, I saw you on mute. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I have various things I could say. Um, First, the thing you were saying, Elijah, a few minutes ago about now it's sort of like, Sarah, you have the responsibility to, make conscious choices in every moment. And my response, I just had this initial response of like, oh, it's so exhausting having to constantly be responsible and make the right choices in the moment, like how much to eat, when to eat, what to eat, and everything, how we just want to check out in various ways or just satiate ourselves. And I was just I was intrigued by my reaction that like, oh, that's exhausting. Like,
Rather than a privilege.
yeah, that just seemed very telling of sort of where I am spiritually, that that's my relationship to it.
Well, and what I was saying to what I was watching in Sarah is that because there was a lot of unconscious habit, once that was removed after 40 days, what a tragedy it would be to just go back in and start doing what she was doing before. Like it was a privilege, an opportunity because her body is giving her real time feedback every time she does something, and she may not have that chance again, you know.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think it's both. I
Yeah,
think it is exhausting, and it's like this morning
frustrating or annoying or
it's time consuming.
limiting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time consuming. It's like I got up this morning and I was like, okay, here's my list of things I'm going to do to take care of myself, to eat, to take time to go on a little walk, to like prepare for this, and I've gotten nothing done but taking care of myself.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's almost 2 p.m. And it's like, wow, what a privilege. What an incredible life that I get to have, that I can spend the half of my day just doing things to take care of myself. And there's a stress to it at the same time because my inclination is to go stuff my face and not think about it.
Do you feel, you went into this partly because you just didn't feel good? Do you feel better than before you started?
I definitely,
he's saying, is it worth it?
yeah, I do feel a significant shift in how I feel. Like I can feel my energy, like over the course of the first week, my energy was like a slow burn of it really coming back to me. The one weird thing is like as of this morning, I noticed that my back is hurting. It's like, oh, weird. It's like as soon as I have any kind of activity in the body, this like chronic thing that's been there is back. Not with a vengeance, but it's there. So it's like, okay, I've got some chronic things to look at. I think that's, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I do feel better, but I feel like my chronic things are way worse. Like I've had trouble skin things and I have this like itchy psoriasis patch on my head. And I thought it was sugar and I felt like not eating, I'll just be better. And it's worse.
Hmm.
It's way worse now than it's been in years. And so I have some definite like chronic things that are there that I have to pay more attention to, but generally I feel much better.
But I think the thing about your question, Josh, though, is that like she's taken a whole lifetime to land in this spot to do something that she took 40 days out of a whole lifetime. Like a lot has is going to happen over the next 6 months or a year. There's nothing integrated yet, not even
No.
a tiny bit. So when the body knows that it's being treated right and the patterns are the correct patterns, it's in the same way that when you would lose weight when there was a willingness to let go of what the weight represented. It's the same with this patchiness and stuff. The body is still doing all of its patterns that you did your whole life. Like I don't think you can expect. Again, the reason why I wanted to offer this is because to me it was unbelievable to watch what could happen to a human in 40 days. And it's funny, Sarah, how kind of not practical, but just how mundane you are about talking about it. I mean, maybe it was more profound for me than it was for you.
Well,
I don't know.
I think it's what you're saying. I don't think that I'm fully integrated. I'm
No.
only out of it like 11 days. And like what I was saying about like, I've lost 40 pounds and I can't, excuse me, I kind of can't see it. Like
Mhm.
I, I
Yeah.
can,
And that's how you were during the whole 40-day fast. You would
yeah,
even say stuff like to me, like, I can't even see what's going on. And that was often why we had conversations. So I could tell you what I saw because I know you. And a lot of it was just shocking in this beautiful way, but shocking even in its difficulty. And I think you weren't really tracking how intense the whole thing was. But just suffice to say, your body has still have a lots of work to do to come back to some correct natural balance. And you just only 40 days, like at least another 40 days, but likely 3 months to 9 months or a year before, you start to feel what it's like to be this person without, not just without the weight, but without the patterning that it comes from, which is
right.
the more important part.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't, um, like, I don't want it to sound like it wasn't profound or like huge things didn't come out of it for me because I think they did. Like the instant gratification thing, that learning how to rest, the confusion that I have about what I actually need, like all of that feels like profound little nuggets that I can't forget. Um, and in that way, it is profound, but I don't think any of it's all that integrated because I'm spending hours now every day just not agonizing, but like, okay, I'm going to make this soup. And then how much of this soup am I supposed to eat? And can I try
It,
eating?
it,
I'm starting to kind
it
of
is
incorporate things.
agonizing, really is the word. I mean, sometimes going to the grocery store and just deciding what to buy is fucking agonizing.
Yeah. And it's like, well, and I just started eating a little fruit and then I ate eggs yesterday and I made this chicken and then I cut up a bunch of vegetables and I mixed it in and I made this kind of version of a sauce that was with eggs and it tasted so good. But then I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, yeah. So it's, yeah, I'm spending a lot of time every day just trying to be really slow around every time I eat. And I've again like trying to eat breakfast and drinking a protein powdered shake thing, which I'm getting used to, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm trying to do I'm trying to check things out to see what actually is going to feel good.
Um, I've been thinking, and I probably shared with this group about, I've definitely shared with Elijah about doing a spiritual practice without wanting to get anything, right? Which
Mhm.
I'm just, it's not like it's sorted or anything. So I'm imagining myself and I'm curious about, your wisdom around this, like, because I hear like, well, or Elijah's saying you're doing this, or maybe you said, you're doing this to reset, to break old patterns, to do all this, to get healthy, to get rid of the itchy or whatever. And I'm imagining, well, because I love the idea of doing this. I'm like, when can I'm like flipping through the calendar. Um, uh, but I'm imagining, could I go into this without wanting to get anything, like just to have just to have the experience of doing this. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I didn't do it because I wanted nothing to happen. Do you know what I mean? I did it because I wanted something.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And of
But I think,
course,
we always intend a goal when we take something on, but then we have to separate this came to me, put it on a bumper sticker, but that a prayer can be like something about the outside, but a practice is definitely something about the inside. So you can take on this practice with a goal towards something, but that goal is your prayer. That's not much you can do about it after the prayer. Your practice is going through it. And so if
How
you're
the breath,
willing to just, what's that?
how the breath is.
That's how life is. That's why the breath is good. It's just that's what life's like. You set a goal and you live.
yeah, I mean,
But
I think I'm still in the conversation with myself about like, if I look this way, it means my life is better. And this 40 days was a lot about breaking that conditioning for me. And I can't say that I'm at the end of it and like, I am healed from wanting to be a thin supermodel. I
was
can't
that
say
your
that.
goal?
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, I mean, kind of.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in a way.
One of the beings inside you had that desire.
Yes. Of like looking youthful.
Mhm. Well, your skin looks great, Sarah, by the way. I
My
think
skin
your
has looked,
your face looks glowy to me. I think it looks really good. So,
yeah, I mean, my skin was terrible through the whole thing. Like the skin on my face like peeled and was dry and my lips were super chapped for most of it. Just, it was weird. And then now eating, I'm like a normal, I'm back to, and I'm highly moisturized.
well, my daughter and I were just discussing how ingrained all of this is in women, Sarah, in our society because it's been fed to us our entire lives. It's so hard to break that need to fit the mode of what we think we should look like and what we're fed all the time. And she was reading a forum about of women that were on GLP-1 and how obsessed they were with food and their weight and all of those things. And it was really literally all they thought about.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. So the fact that it didn't heal everything in that period of time, but at least it started you on the path, right? I think it's a lifelong journey for us because it's been a lifelong journey to get here.
Yeah, I think what outweighs how I look is how I feel
Mm-hmm.
because I really did not feel good. And I haven't felt good for so long. And to have just like a glimmer of, oh, like I can feel good and
Mm-hmm.
healthy and strong and like have energy and not feel injured or fucked up or like that's a huge thing. It was like, I think deep inside of my core belief about myself is that I'm fucked up and I can't change. And, you don't eat for 40 days, something's going to happen. And it just proved that I can change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's an ongoing journey for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But most
How-
women in general to just love themselves as they are and for being strong and healthy to be enough.
Yeah.
Sarah, when we had that conversation about doing a fast, it wasn't because of your weight, it was because of how you were feeling. I
Yeah.
mean, but I think what's complex about this after we're talking for an hour is how everything in someone's inner world, how everything's connected and intertwined. Trauma and conditioning, personal beliefs, body image, all this stuff, and that I think any spiritual practice, any type of retreat, any type of commitment is a willingness to step away from the conditioning of your culture that not eating is very confronting to the matrix around you because you didn't even tell your family that you're not eating. Like people are shocked, but you went 40 days and yet nobody really asked you any questions and none of your friends are here. They're invited too. So people don't necessarily, anyway, my point is just in relation to what Chris is saying is that the beauty of a person living a spiritual life, whatever your thing is that you're willing to step away from the way that it was given to you growing up and willing to grapple. Like Josh, that's the reason to do it, is that in that grappling, you do get something. You do get an emancipation because God's fair. Like we're all entitled to be free of the suffering of trying to be something we're not. And that grappling that Sarah you did for 40 days was worthy to do regardless of the outcome, because whether you realize it or not, it definitely changed you because every day you were thinking about your relationship to yourself. There was no question about it. And I think that's why you can't see how profound it was for you, because you were just dealing with it and then you're still dealing with it. So
Yeah. I don't think I'm through the gauntlet of revelation.
the Gauntlet of Revelation. I gotta write that down. It's a effigy breath track. The Gauntlet of Revelation.
Yeah.
Well,
Tina, did you
yeah.
want to say something?
Yes, I was wondering how it was with your clarity and your insights and your sensitive and your intuition, because I was thinking that that's really getting loud then when you don't eat and it almost scares me.
Yeah.
I think I love it, but also I think it's very overwhelming.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure because I think I had moments where I felt really, really, really clear. And then I had mostly fear and feeling irrational.
Hmm.
So I kind of knew that I was gonna go through that tunnel, I guess,
Yeah.
and I feel like um, now as I sort of feel my energy kind of coming back to me, I can feel my brain being more clear. I don't know if that answers your question, but I would say it kind of went in and out. Like it wasn't
I
linear.
found you at the height of your clarity. We had lots of conversations. I mean, we've made a lot of changes in our business in the last 40 days. I don't think it's a accident that also I was on my own little thing. I gave up dairy and alcohol and eating out and all these things. So, but I found that the things that you were saying, Sarah, to me on a daily basis were perfect wisdoms, like pretty much every time. I didn't, maybe you're unclear about yourself, but I found that the part of you that has deep knowledge and wisdom was extremely active during these last period.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say to Tina. It's like I felt really clear on a lot of levels, and then inside myself, I would have these like irrational fear, upset pieces. Yeah.
Was it a kind of hormone based kind of stress? What was
Um,
in your body?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Like I think of when I had my period, it definitely was like a hormone. Like I was like, I'm
I
gonna.
think there was a lot of changes in your hormones right from the beginning because we had conversations about hormones like right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say if my clarity is connected to it. I mean, I'm sure they are. It is, but I wasn't tracking it that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Yeah, no.
I just wanted to say that I don't know that there's any major significance to this, but but I'm just aware that right before you did this fast, you were feeding us for 5 days. And,
Yeah.
you know, you were so focused on food and providing food and cooking. And I just noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like in a weird way, like I love food. I love to cook. I love to eat. It's such a joy of being human, like to get to experience food. And it can also just be where I'm completely asleep. And not even like sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna go eat this. Oh well. Not anymore though. It's
Really not anymore?
what's that?
Really not anymore?
I mean,
The
I hear myself say it and then um I have to rewind myself because I'm like that's going to make me feel like
right.
garbage. And I've had so much of feeling oh yeah, Katie. Um I've had so much of feeling so bad. And even in these last 11 days, I've just like overdid it. Like my friend JD made a cocktail the other night. He's like, just taste it. Just have a little sip. I was like, I cannot. And then he was like, just go on, just have a taste. So I sipped it and it immediately made me feel like absolute garbage. And I was like, get that away from me. I don't want to. I just don't. So I'm really like rewinding myself back from the urge to say fuck it. And I've also eaten some things and have thought, okay, I'm just going to try this, see how it makes me feel. And then I'm like, oh, I feel great. And that's surprising too. Like lemons, I thought would make me feel not good, but it's been okay. Yeah.
I think we're complete.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah and Elijah for doing this. I mean, it's just wonderful, like just hearing from you for an hour, Sarah, and you know, getting to know more about what's been going on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And just being very, really vulnerable and honest.
Yeah. You're welcome. All right.
All right. We'll see you all somewhere.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.